Hello, everyone and anyone. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to make this one real quick. Talk about just a weird experience I had the other night. Uh, Last night was fine. I was kind of just reading the Bible, and doing that sort of thing. It's a pretty good book. The pages get really soft the more you read. I don't know if that was intentional or what, but it can be kind of hard to read to keep up with it. But it's a good book. A lot of good stories in it. There's a lot of violence, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of taking of inheritance, and just a lot of blood sprinkling. I'm definitely gonna have to read it again though, because Leviticus was just like, oh my god, I just wanted to get through it. But I've never read the Bible before or anything like it, so I figured if I'm gonna pass judgment on those who do read it, then I should probably understand it first. I don't pass judgment on those who read it, but I've always been very non-religious, so and used to think of people like that as kind of desperate or unintelligent, and it's certainly not the case. If you actually read it and understand a lot of it, especially from older people, there's this older guy named Steve at the shelter, who understands this stuff on a Greek Hebrew level. He can read Greek and Hebrew. It's nuts. But he's been telling me things about it that it just makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense from a scientific fucking standpoint, and that's where I'm just like, wow, okay, if they're gonna use some logic in it, then yeah, I can get with that. I'm not all about big floating man in the sky, but when they talk about eons and how every eon's a different section of time, and it's a long time, and the Earth goes through phases, and then there's a calendar that shows these phases. One of the last phases is the Earth is on fire. That's literally where we're headed. Whether we do anything about global warming or not, eventually that's where the planet goes. We will eventually become either Venus or Mars. It's uncanny how the resemblance is from that long ago. That was their understanding of it, and it basically is a scientific understanding. But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. You should read it yourself. But anyway, back to that experience I had. So I was at the park doing my thing, reading my book. I decided to stay a little later because I heard one of the regulars at the shelter didn't get a place to sleep the other night. So I decided to wait till after 11 to make sure that everybody who needed it got the space, because I'm young. If I need to sleep outside, I can sleep outside. There's a lot of older gentlemen there, and older women that really need those spaces. So kind of chilling at the park, hanging out with my new friend Trevor. Trevor is, I'm not entirely sure what his condition is, but he has uncontrolled speech. I don't know if it's from drug use or from birth. Could be fetal alcohol syndrome, I'm not sure. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. Once you actually talk to him, he can still talk to you, but it's kind of challenging, I think, for him to do that. It's challenging to know what's going on as well, but you do what you can with people like that, right? And you just gotta be friendly and kind, and give everyone the same amount of respect you would to anyone else. And I'm lucky that I learned that before I came here, because just because somebody acts differently or looks differently does not mean that they are different inside. And it was kind of sad to see, because for all I know, he seemed to be able to communicate with me on the same level I could communicate with one of my friends, mixed in with those uncontrolled speech patterns. But still, he was having a conversation with me. Some of it kind of went off into tangents, because it's hard to tell when he goes from his speech to the uncontrolled speech. But it's like talking to a kid, man. And it's weird because it's so bad for him that he swears and he kind of yells and he moves a lot when he's doing this. It's kind of like a Tourette's thing. It frightens people, especially because he's native, he's got darker skin, and he's lived at the shelter. He looks like a bum, and so people automatically assume he's fucked on heroin and give him no respect, that he ultimately probably just wants people to say hi to him. And that's what I did. I just said, hey, how's it going? And I offered him a cigarette, and he took the cigarette, and we smoked the cigarette. And he was telling me a couple of stories about his childhood, and some were a little more graphic than I needed to know. But and then some of his tangents were kind of funny, and I couldn't tell where they're coming from. But he mentioned Mortal Kombat the other day, and I asked him, I was like, so you like Mortal Kombat? He's like, yeah, I can act it all out. I'm really good at acting out Mortal Kombat. And when he's doing his thing, I guess that's him, his mind remembering the Mortal Kombat. But whatever though, like it was cool talking to him and hanging out with him. But we were just standing there chilling, and I kind of felt bad, right? He didn't see his family or anything, so I was like, I'll just hang out with him till he's ready to go, and I'll take him back to the shelter. So we were there till about 10, and this fucking kid comes up to me, and he's like, hey man, like, you got anything? I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, he came up on his bike, and I'm like, sorry, what? And he's like, you got like uppers, downers, I'll take whatever, man. I'm like, I'm sorry, you got the wrong guy, dude. Like, I was dressed in black, had my red hat on, so it probably looked like I was dealing, but... And then he looked at Trevor, and he's like, what about that guy? I'm like, probably not. And then he took off, and it was just some kid, man. Like, he was maybe 15 or 16 years old, and he was looking to buy fucking drugs. And it's like, yeah, okay, but like, you could say like, oh, when I was a kid I tried drugs, yeah, but like, this is fucking heroin that they're looking for, like needles. And this kid just came up to me all casually in the park, I'm out in the middle of the open. He's just like, hey, can I get some drugs? Not the weirdest part that happened though. So he fucks off. I hang out with Trevor a little more. One of his friends or family came over. Her name was Jasmine, and she was like absolutely fucked on heroin. Like she could not stand still. She was... Imagine somebody who's so fucking drunk that they look like they're gonna break their back from trying to stand up because their body is just so heavy for them. Like, she was just this noodle that couldn't stand still, and she was stepping all over the place. And she looked like she was gonna pass out a couple times talking to me, and I was like, do you need help? Like, is there anything I can do to help you? Like, you okay? And she's like, no, I'm messed up. And I'm like, okay, well, if there's anything I can do. And she's like, well, can you help me move my stuff closer into the park so I can be safe? And because she was just over there. So I was like, yeah, no problem. That's no problem at all. And it was weird because she's this fucked up on heroin that she can't stop moving. Like, I don't mean just like jittery. I mean like, oh, it's so hard to describe. It's like she was falling over constantly and couldn't keep her balance. But I was like, yeah, I'll help you move your stuff. So I walked over with her. She kind of stumbled over. Trevor came with us. And then I walked her closer into the park, and she was still having a coherent conversation with me. She asked me my name, where I'm from. I asked her what her name was, where she was from. It was really weird. Like, we were able to withhold this conversation while she was this fucked up on heroin. I'm like 99% sure it's heroin because of the needle problem here. So I bring her over there, I plop her down, and I was going to have a conversation with her, see what's up, and hang out with Trevor a bit more. And Trevor started talking and doing his thing, and she just got a headache from it, so she asked him to leave. And so this lady came up out of nowhere, and she's like, yeah, I'm looking to buy drugs. And the girl I just helped was like, yeah, I got the person for you. And I'm like, well, that's my cue to leave. So I said, goodbye, Jasmine, it's nice to meet you, and I left. And then Trevor seemed like he was kind of following me a bit, so I looked at him and I was just like, you coming with me, buddy? And he's like, yeah. So me and him walked back to the shelter. We got back there, and I hung out with him for a little longer because I can only imagine it must be impossible for people to get some sleep with his condition, right? So I decided to kind of hang out with him till, I think it was like 11:30 or midnight before I decided to go into the shelter. And then the next day when I woke up, I went to the library for 9 o'clock. They didn't open till 10. And there was a bunch of garbage, like food garbage, needles on the tables, and a naloxone kit. So somebody had OD'd the night before, and the nurse had to, it was a huge mess, and the needles were just there. I've never seen anything like it before. Just a couple of needles sitting on this public library table. And this lady came out, and I didn't know how to, I imagine she was the one who had to administer the naloxone. She didn't seem too impressed, fair enough. But, I was just like, hi, like, I've never seen this before. Do you want any help? Like, is there anything I can do to help? And she's like, no, we take care of it. I'm like, okay, I'm here if you need someone to talk to. But, she was just quiet the whole time, cleaned up the mess, and about her day she went. And it's just, fuck, there really is a problem here, like a really big problem. And I don't think it's an easy one to solve. I'm going to try and help on Thursday when I get some money. I'm going to buy a bunch of garbage bags and garbage picker things, and I'm going to see if I can convince a bunch of the younger fellows at the shelter to go around and pick up garbage, give them a purpose, something to do, show the faces of homelessness. Maybe we can get some notoriety and people can see who these people are. Like, Trevor needs to be in a home. Like, he can't be, I don't think he should be out here. And I think he's got a sister or a mother that have the same condition. I'm not 100% sure on it all. I've only been here a little while, but there are people here that need like actual care. And if it was a little white kid you know, doctors and nurses would be flooding all over him, and he'd be in perfect care the rest of his life. He'd get fucking a hot bed and meals, and his parents would get a bunch of grant money, and he would be safe until the day he died. And there's people like Trevor who are at the shelter with nowhere else to go, and it's just sad because of the way he looks, or maybe the choices his parents made, or maybe some of the choices he made. Because if you can imagine having that condition, not being able to make any fucking friends, you're gonna turn to drugs. Like, what else are you gonna do with your time? So, you know, I'm getting to notice a lot about, you know, not that how to fix the problems, but where there are serious problems that need to be addressed first. There are people at the homeless shelter, yes, that are whatever's going on in their life, they could be doing more to fix it. They should be taking more accountability. But people like Trevor can't take accountability, and he's at the shelter, and it kind of makes me sad, you know, to see that. And I don't know their story, I really don't, and maybe I'm passing bad judgment, but I still think that he should be at a hospital, a psych ward, and they should be taking care of him, and he should be allowed to have visitors that can make friends with him, or maybe, you know, the shelter's not a bad place to be, and that's why I brought him with me. The shelter's a great place to be, but I just think because of his condition, it affects everybody else as well, and he would need some sort of soundproof room for himself so he could just, you know, do his thing. And I'm not saying he has to be alone all the time. I just mean that he needs to be separated sometimes so that people can get a break from it. Because, like, holy fuck, like, that's, like, I could see people getting headaches from it. Like, he can't control it. He can't stop. I don't think. I know he can't stop. It's just, he would if he could, I'm sure. But that's the thing, is like, you're still able to talk to him. He's still a human being in there. And, you know, what's worse is that same night, I remember the vehicle too, and I'm going to tell you what color it was and what exactly it looked like. I was talking with Trevor, we were having a smoke, and this blue Liberty Jeep Cherokee looking thing, it had like a black accent on the bottom, but it was like that bright blue, brand new blue. And I'm telling everyone, because if you see this, you know, fucking say something. But they drove by screaming, you know, fuck you, you fucking Indians, get the fuck out of the park, fucking white power, and they're screaming this as they were going by. I didn't say shit because, you know, obviously, you know, I'm just observing right now, but I looked at Trevor and I was like, that was kind of a horrible thing to say, and he's like, yeah, I don't get it. Neither do I, man. Like, who the fuck is that guy? What the fuck does he know? He looked like this privileged little white kid who's driving mom's fucking car for the first time because he just got his fucking license. You know how bad I wanted to fucking... Oh, man, it just drives me nuts. But yeah, blue Jeep Cherokee looking thing. It's like a bright speckled blue. It doesn't help, but like, I'm telling you right now, if I ever catch that person, you know, I don't care if I have to go to prison or what, he's getting a fucking beat down. I don't care if it was a joke, you know. You don't know what how powerful your words could be to some of these people, and they don't fucking need that. They got enough problems on their plate, you know. Fuck, it just drove me nuts. But I mean, that was my night the other night, and that's kind of, you know, it's kind of opening my eyes. I hope that some real change can come. And, like, you know, the food at the shelter is actually pretty good. Some mornings they're kind of lacking a bit, and I hope that anyone who wants to donate or thinks about like donating to a shelter or anything after watching this, you know, please do. I think they prefer to get, you know, like different kinds of foods, or like, you know, canned foods. I'm not sure exactly what the best thing to give them is. Bottled water is a big one. People like it when they can take off with a bottle of water, especially in 35-degree weather. Trying to think of what else they could use. Shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, bus vouchers. I don't even know if you could give those as a donation. Transportation's a tough one. Or even if you just go to the shelter and say, hey, I want to meet somebody. You know, usually there's someone walking around in a vest or something, or some sort of official you can find. That, you know, it's just talking to the people, making a friend there might change their whole experience. And it's not going to work for everybody, but, you know, everybody's different, right? So, you know, just if you do want to do something, go do something, but do it for those people, because a lot of them need it. You know, just seeing all these fucking people in a rush driving around trying to get to their place and stuff like that. Hey, how's it going? No, sorry, man. I wish. Yeah, you see all these people driving around in their cars and shit, and Sure.
Phone call out?
Pardon me?
Did your phone call out?
Yeah, you need to make a phone call?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, just needed to use my phone real quick, but so yeah, basically if you want to help, just go talk to someone there. You know, I'm sure just hanging out with them. I mean, bring them a coffee or something, or a bottle of water, I don't know, maybe a can of pop, like pretty much anything, man. Like it doesn't have to be a big spectacle. You don't have to show up, with like 10,000 pounds of food. Some of these people just need someone to care. That's all I needed, and I feel a hell of a lot better. Once I've had a bunch of friends reach out and talk to me, I started feeling a little better. And once I got to the shelter and was able to talk to a couple people, I felt immeasurably better. Like it was just, and the heart, like it's not gonna fix everything. It's not gonna fix the whole problem. They might still go and get heroin that night. They might still, drink a bottle of vodka. Who knows? Who knows? But you know, whatever they got going on, don't dismiss it just because of where they are. You hear about rich people being alcoholics. No one gives a fuck about that. But it's just the same as a homeless person being an alcoholic. It's still a problem. Like, it still should be addressed, and it should be looked at. And it's hard because you need like professionals to do that kind of stuff. But I think for like your basic, just for your basic interaction with the person, just saying, hey, how's it going? Hi, this is my name. Like, they're not always going to be receptive. Some people are just, they're in such a shit spot. They don't give a fuck what you have to say or offer. But sometimes maybe treat it like a transaction. You might want to get to know some of these people. They've probably seen some crazy shit living at a shelter. So buy their time. Buy them lunch. Get a Tim Hortons sandwich. I don't recommend bringing it to the shelter because you're gonna make people jealous. If there's one thing I learned at the shelter is you wait your turn in line. So if you're gonna bring something to the shelter, make sure you try to bring something for everyone. You don't have to. Like, I mean, you can still bring a bottle of water for one person, but show up with a big bag of McDonald's for one guy, and his buddy's gonna be like, what the fuck? So I get to starve. Not that there's any starving going on. I've learned so many names, but the name of the guy who runs the soup kitchen, I'd like to get to know him more, but he makes sure that him and his entire crew and all the volunteers that work there make sure that people are fed every day, 3 times a day. It's something that I'm going to be helping with once I get out of here. I can still offer, but I don't think I can right now because there's a conflict of interest. I'm using the shelter, so I don't think I can volunteer at the shelter. But once I'm out on my own, I'm definitely going back. Like, these people, it's starting to feel like friends and family, and I don't want to use the family word too soon because I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But they've definitely made me feel welcome. They've made me feel better about myself, and that there's still hope and there's still the chance to get up and get out of there. And it is supposed to be a temporary service, but like I said, there's people that can't use anything else, and that's their only hope. It's the only place they can go, and people like Trevor who need to be in actual care, whose families can't afford it. There needs to be programs for people like that. And why there isn't, or why they don't know about that program, is beyond me, because those are the people that need it the most. And I feel guilty every time I'm like eating food or sleeping there, because I know that there's people that could use it more than me, but luckily they seem to be able to have enough for capacity and to feed everyone. But yeah, like I said, if you wanna help out, just go talk to someone there. Like I said, buy them lunch, man. You'll make their whole fucking day. Offer to take them somewhere too, maybe. I don't know. You might say like, well, I don't want to take some homeless dude in my car, but maybe a car ride would fucking change their whole spirit. How often do you think they get to go on car rides? For you, it's every day. It's monotonous. You hate it because, I gotta go to work. And they're not lazy. Don't think these people are lazy, man. Fuck all the walking they have to do, all the shit they gotta carry. You gotta carry all your own shit. There's nowhere to put it. Unless you have somewhere to put your things, you're carrying all your things like I am. So, a lot of people think they're just lazy. They're not lazy. Think they can't get a job. Well, people won't hire them because of the way they look. You think Trevor's able to get a job? You think he could just walk into McDonald's and give them a resume? If he had a resume? No. They would turn him away. They would turn these people away, and that's, the obstacles that they overcome is the homelessness comes with like a sort of racism. And I've noticed it because I can tell people are judging me because I'm carrying all this stuff and I'm walking around all the time. They're starting to notice, and I can feel the looks, and I can hear people talking shit about me. People walking by the park saying, oh, I could beat the fuck out of that guy. Oh, I wish I had it as easy as you. Like, fucking suck my asshole, you piece of shit. You don't know what the fuck I'm going through. I don't have a cent to my name. I have to wait for the government to give me a place to stay. And once that happens, I already have a job. And this guy didn't even take the time. He's probably some fucking 25-year-old piece of shit drug dealer who's fucking peddling heroin on the streets. So I don't give a fuck about his opinion, but seriously, like, people like that just make me sick. Like, you don't even take the time to know. You just judge and think you're better than me. Like, fuck off. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, and you take what you can from that. Hopefully I can splice these two videos together, because that guy needed to use my phone, but his name was Oka. Spelled O-K-A. It's kind of a cool name. But anyway, so peace and happiness to y'all, and remember what I said, fucking sometimes all people need is a friend. Peace.